right, welcome back to another episode of the Extreme Lifestyle Living Podcast. Now, as you can tell, I'm sitting in a studio. I can't take credit for absolutely any of it because it's not mine. It's actually one of my good friends. It's actually a setup. I'm actually being a bum and using it as often as I can because it's absolutely sick. But, as you can tell, I'm in a studio. And if you're listening to this as audio as you guys always are, for the most part, I'm officially going to commit to the rest of this year as to finally doing the podcast videos. It's been one of those things that a lot of people ask for, a lot of my clients ask for, a lot of you guys that listen to the podcast ask for it, and that's why I don't do them. And honestly, it's because it's a lot of extra work, to be honest, and I'm just being honestly incredibly fucking lazy when it comes to it. Honestly, for the longest time, I just convinced myself that other things were worth more of my time. But now that I'm here, and the entire topic of today's episode, I have it written down on a little bit of a sheet here so I can make sure that I stay focused, because the big thing with when I do audio is I just get zoned out, go into my own lane. And the big thing I want to focus on this year is being able to bring this version of myself to the community and to my clients. And I think a big thing that just gets in my way when I do the videos, I overcomplicate just seeing myself, and like I can see myself in the camera, I got to look in the camera. There's other variables that there's other stressors, honestly. And one big thing, as we all know, and I got to practice what I preach, is in order to grow, you got to get uncomfortable. And it's uncomfortable doing this, and I honestly feel like it takes away, convinced myself of this for the longest time, that the video with me stressing about the stressors that it brings was taking away the impact and the value that I could bring to the episodes. And that's just because I was overcomplicating it, right? So I literally was like, fuck it, let me just sit down. This is how I operate. I got a little piece of paper, I write it on, I literally ripped it out of Emma's journal. She gets mad at me because I ripped them out the back, and then she eventually gets there, and then they're all fucking gone. But it's just my to-do list for the day. And what I did was I wrote a couple of notes as to what I want to talk about, because when I do an audio podcast, I can just kind of like walk around and pace the room, and I just kind of stay in my lane. And I do have some notes that I usually go by, and I just kind of walk by them, go back, walk by them. And even, to be honest, to be completely transparent, sitting down doing the episode, was contemplating that for like 20 minutes. Should I stand? Should I sit? I'm just all over the place. And even that in itself is stress that's fucking just in the way for the episode, right? And, I just really want to just bring a new level of the podcast to life. And the only way to do that is by going through the fucking uncomfortableness. But to jump in today's episode, literally, I'm going to be as transparent and as vulnerable as I fucking can be. Got my pen, got my paper. I'm going to hit all these topics before we get into it. The biggest thing is just life update, and even right there, honestly, the video, I was like, audio, I'm going to cut that out, but in the video, I'm just going to fucking keep it there, because who gives a shit? But life update, that's the topic of the episode. January's done. What the fuck is next? Tomorrow's February 1st. Actually, today's February 1st. When I'm recording, my laptop's right here, and I got just obviously some of the recording stuff for the podcast on there, but it's February 1st. January's done, so what's next? So I wanted to just give a big life update. I feel like I haven't done that in a bit. Last time I did it, I believe I was in Mexico, just giving an update as to what it was like living there, my experiences, and kind of what my game plan was there. And I think that was in October, was the last time I did that. So I want to give like a life update and, just talk about now that January's done. And before I get into my stuff, I want to talk about you guys as listeners and viewers and as the community, and just, give yourselves a round of applause for making it through the month of January. There's that joke saying that I finally made it through the 6 months of January. It's a joke because January feels so long. And I feel like the reason why I feel so long is because, one, obviously we can all agree that there's I almost said midlife crisis. There's the New Year's goals, New Year's resolutions. All of us want to get the best kickstart to the year, feel our best, be able to look back on the year and be proud, which makes sense, right? So there's animosity and pressure of that. But also the back end of that, you're dealing with Boxing Day shenanigans, you're dealing with Christmas shenanigans, the month of December shenanigans, the holiday shenanigans. You have a lot of stuff that's going on, and it's like you're very all over the place, sporadic, to within like a couple of days, New Year's comes around, it's like, be the best version of your fucking self and don't miss a fucking beat, when life was chaotic 6 to 8 weeks prior, right? So, the fact that you're done January, you showed the fuck up, you committed to your goals, you crossed your T's, you dotted I's, you tried your best, that puts you in the top 10 percentile of winning the fucking rest of the year. And I know that's hard to kind of like really conceptualize and believe, like, oh, cool, I won 1 month of the year. How is that going to show me that? How does that prove I'm going to win the next 12 or the next 11? And that's because most people have given up during January and committing to their goals. Literally, the statistics show it's upwards of 90% of people fail before February even starts. So despite how you feel about your goals and where you think you should be, and you criticizing yourself of how much better you could be and what you failed on in January, the fact you're still present and in the arena and showing up shows that you are winning. That in itself is going to give you more success than anything else in life will really give you. Me being here, being able to do the podcast, and even just like everything else I got going on in life was just consistency. the backbone of it was consistency, about staying in the arena no matter what the fuck's going on. And I locked the fuck in, regardless of what it was. I still felt like shit. I still struggled. I still had, trauma and turmoil. I went through my trials and tribulations, but staying in the arena and staying consistent wins every single fucking time. So, now that January's done, pat your guys yourself on the back for actually staying committed to it. And now it's about locking in and crushing the rest of the fucking year. So that's the first talking point I wanted to get through. Excuse me. The second one is like, okay, the first 6 months, first 6 months of 2026, what are we doing and what do I got going on? So as of today, I am 17 weeks out from a bodybuilding show that I'm committed to. A lot of you guys that have been following me for a long time know that my entire goal in the gym as of the last little bit has been getting as big and as strong as I can for the bodybuilding show. So when I cut down for it, I'll be at least 10 to 15 pounds heavier on stage than I was previously. So it's February 1st, 2026 right now. The last show I did was May of 2023. So that would have been actually when I compete and finally step on stage, it'll be damn near 2 years to the date since I stepped on stage. So for the next 6 months, up until May, June, which takes us in the 6-month marker, I'm entirely locked into the bodybuilding show. That is my main goal right now, is the bodybuilding show. I've been on just bulking and really trying to get all of my imbalances and my injuries figured out. So when I do get into another prep, I can give it 110% of my efforts. If you've been here for a while, my experiences with prep was either like dealing with injuries or life variables, whatever it may be. There's something that had me not being able to go 110% like I wanted to. Do you know what I mean? So now that I've taken so much time the last 2 years to get myself in a position to focus, that is all I'm focusing on. The next 6 months is just my bodybuilding shows. I don't have anything else in mind. I'm still going to work, focused on my clients, focused on my community. And I have other goals I'm going to share that's like all year round of what I'm doing. But for the next 6 months, outside of bigger picture things that I'm going to share in a bit, it's just a bodybuilding show. I know that may sound cheesy, and not even cheesy, but I know that may sound like, oh, that's too simple, but that's all I'm fucking focused on. Like, I can't stress it enough. I had 2 or 3 client calls the last 5-6 days, or last 3 days, sorry. And, I just couldn't reiterate to them enough the simplicity behind just doing the meal prep, doing the work, and focusing on the journey, not the goal. And that's what I'm doing now. So I'm not focused on the goal of competing in 6 months. I'm focused on the next 6 months is for that. So it's the journey of the next 6 months. That's all that's going to be relevant as a bodybuilding show. I'm not going to miss this fucking beat. I'm not going to miss my calories. I'm not going to miss my steps. I'm not going to miss my cardio. I'm not going to miss my workouts, because it's so fucking rewarding getting to that stage day and that show day, knowing you look back and you didn't fucking miss a beat. And that's why I'm excited to do it, because I never played sports. So I never did anything competitive growing up. I played Call of Duty and played video games, but it wasn't competitive to the nature of like sports. Not until nowadays when you play competitive video games, which I never got into, just played them as my leisure and as a kid growing up. So I never had anything competitive. So when I got into bodybuilding, just going through my fitness goals, I kept progressing, kept hitting new levels. Eventually I ended up doing the show organically because I needed that next test. And I fell in love with it instantly because of the you versus you attitude it brings. And for me personally, outside of business, outside of my clients, outside of my Emma's life, my personal life with the family, I need something that's gonna fucking just really make me feel like I'm like that. That brings that dog into me. Last time I tested that was when I did the show. Last time I felt that way was when I was trying to grind out on my career and get this whole thing kind of started, working with the clients, working with the podcasts, doing things online. And I want to feel that me versus me dog mentality where there's no one at fault other than myself. And that fire just lights something in me that it just gets me, that's so fucking I love it. And I'm already dialed into it. Today I had a meeting with my coach that I'm going to start working with. Because, I got to practice what I preach. If I'm telling people to have coaches, I could have one myself, and I'm a very firm believer of that. You always want to have people in your corner that are doing things that you want to do that can help you accelerate your growth and your progress. It's not about ego and, taking away from anyone else. It's about, if you have the answers, I'm willing to ask the questions. If you're willing to give me the time of day, and it's mutual, right? And the energy is reciprocal. So honestly, for the first 6 months, that's all I got focused on. That'll take me until May 25th as my show date, and it gets into June. Now, that may sound pretty standard, oh, that's all we're doing, but that's it. It's going to take up all of my time. Other than that, I'm still going to be focused on my, the weekly podcasts, on my clients, on my community, and all in that regard. But that's the main thing for the first 6 months before I just talk about bigger picture years and things. The second 6 months, so after I'm done my show, June, July, August, September, November, December, those areas. And the reason why I'm explaining it to you this way is because I'm really want to show you guys how often I reflect and plan my year. If you've been here for a while, I talk about daily reflections, weekly reflections, monthly reflections, quarterly reflections, every 6 months reflections, and then a year reflection. If you do that, You're going to be so crystal clear as to what you need to do, when you need to do it, and how you need to do it. So that way there, your life can become predictable from the standpoint of what you want to get out of life, which is why this may sound simple, but it's very calculated, which means it's just super fucking clear. But after I'm done competing, honestly, just want to travel and see the fucking world. Like, living in Mexico, obviously, as you guys know, being here for a while has changed my fucking life beyond my own comprehension. I loved the hell of it. It was absolutely amazing. But now it's about how can I recreate that all of the time. So we were going to go back to Mexico for February, March, obviously when we were back in Mexico, but just getting home, getting set up and thinking about bigger picture goals, not short term. Obviously short term, it's easy to say and most I fucking want to go. Like it's sunny down there, it's 30 plus degrees. I can wear a t-shirt every fucking day. I don't get sick. Like it's way better in so many different areas. But short-term pain for long-term gain is kind of the motto this year. And me and Emma have is short-term pain, long-term gain campaign is what we're calling it. But what we were thinking is like, let's figure out the bigger picture. We can go away for 6 months or 9 months or 10 months. Like what does that process look like? So we've been having meetings and calls with financial investments, visa people, tax people and accountants to make sure we can get all of our affairs in order. So when we want to go again, we can go. So our plan was always this fall to go to Europe. I don't know if you guys know anything about it, but the flights to Europe from Canada right now are insanely cheap. The round trips, you can catch them at good times, usually around the fall. We want to go to Portugal, we want to go to Italy, we want to go to Spain, we want to go to Germany, we want to go to Croatia, Amsterdam, Switzerland, like all of these places we want to go to. And a lot of the round trips to get to Europe are like $300, which again, I know it's still expensive, but again, when I went to Europe in 2017, it was $1,500 just to get there and back. Once you're over in Europe, it's very easy to travel. So honestly, the next 6 months after that, so June, July, and August is really just about enjoying summer, being home, reversing out of the bodybuilding show to make sure that I'm doing good. I want to do 2 shows, by the way. So the first show I'm going to do is just to qualify me for nationals. Then I'm going to get into nationals. The second show, which should be like June, July area. And then after that, it's just about enjoying the summer, being present with the friends and family. September, October month, give or take, a couple weeks in between there is when we want to, fly to Europe and hopefully stay in Europe for, October, November, and come home for December. And then, maybe around that time, give or take where it's at, maybe look at a 6-month contract in Mexico to go back and live there for a bit. The best case scenario would be November, December to get a contract down there, because then it'd be 6 months so we could be done, come around April, May of the following year, we can come back for the spring and the summer and enjoy ourselves. And that's pretty much the plan. Those are the only plans we have on paper in terms of like the year for how we break it down. And that's how I break it down. That's why I wrote it that way. And so I'm talking about it that way, excuse me, is because I look at it from like, January, you crush January. You don't think of any other month other than January. And if you take a couple steps back, if you did the game properly, did your vision board, you've been planning methodically, appropriately based on your goals, how much you care about them, you should have started January with what you already want to do this year. Then in January, you just focus on January and show the fuck up and absolutely dial it in and crush it. And then once you finish January, which it is now, then you reflect, okay, how well did I did January? Because again, we can sit here and talk about our entire year, but if we're not even fucking showing up the first month, what's the point of talking about the rest of the year, what you're going to get done if you're not even doing the work in the beginning? So after you crush January, get that out of the way, which is why I celebrated at the beginning of the episode, you're fucking in the clear. Do you know what I mean? So now it's about, okay, now what's the first 6 months look like? What's the second 6 months look like? So now we have our goalposts as to where we're going. A rough idea as to long term, come summertime and into the fall. So we have clarity as to what we're moving towards. And then we have short term, next 6 months as to what we're working on. And then, as I do my daily, weekly, and monthly check-ins, this is all subjective to change. You know what I mean? But the big reason why I want to travel and stuff too is to see the culture and, before we settle down. I'm 31. I'll be turning 32 in November. Fucking Christ, my birthday's September. I'll be turning 32 in September. Emma will be, I think, 30 this April. So we're getting up there, right? And all of our friends, for the most part, that are, I don't want to say old school, but like you're getting married, having kids and buying houses. And that's just not in our cards right now. We just don't have the desire to do that. We want to see cultures. We want to explore the world. And we want to do all these things before we settle down and have a family and buy a house and buy land and stuff. We don't want to be doing that when we're later. We're both on the same page that enjoy the fuck out of our lives now. And then when we have our kids, be 100% present with our kids. And also because again, if I'm going to say this, I feel like people take it the wrong way, but we also want to build a bigger, better foundation for our kids so we can have a lifestyle with our kids that many people don't have. And what I mean by that is I'm not trying to work 9 to 5 and be stressed out and have limited time and just, be running home and hang with my kids reactively. Like I want to be present in my kids' lives. I want them to have a life that's not typical where they're just fucking clocking in, clocking out and depressed and just living this typical lifestyle. Like I want them to see the world as well. I want to take them around the world. I want to have us have an abundant family and efficient, just lovely life. Do you know what I mean? And like I want to create that freedom for it, which is a big part of why I'm working on my business and very goal oriented and stuff like that, right? But at this point now, like at the end of January, you should know exactly what you guys want to do for the rest of the year. And my bigger goals, like for my all year focus, a big thing for me is this podcast. I got to take it to the next level. I've been releasing weekly fucking episodes literally for 3 or 4 years. It's a big part of who I am. And I just got to start taking it more serious. And I want to get into public speaking. I would love to get into if I was able to do a TED Talk or like even like a guest speaker gig, like I think that would be fucking incredible. And now this year is when I'm focusing on that. That's all I understand. Like I don't even know what that looks like. I don't know how to get into it. I don't know who I need to talk to. I don't know what I need to do, but I know if I at least start putting my podcast in a different level of importance compared to what I'm holding it to currently, I know that'll put me in the right trajectory. And that's just me being super honest about my goals for this year. Like, I don't know. I want to get in public speaking. I would love to do talking gigs at facilities and corporations and, whatever it may be. But I don't know how that's going to happen. But this is me telling you that this year, that's a focus of mine. And one way I'm doing that is focusing on the podcast, is making sure I can show up and making sure I'm, at least like I said at the beginning, getting uncomfortable and doing the shit that I got to do. Another thing too, and this is more of a business goal that I have this year, but it also organically falls in line with the podcast and how I hold myself online and with my community and my clients and honestly me as a person, is marketing and branding. I'm really big on this year on marketing because I want to make sure that, selfishly, I want to be able to have a client lead flow to make sure that I can retire and hang with my kids and not have to work all the time. Like working right now is super fun and efficient, but do I want to do this on 41, 51, 61? Most likely not. So how do I market myself or brand myself to get a different level of outcome from that standpoint? I don't know what that looks like. I know being on social media it's with content, posting on Instagram, posting on TikTok and all these platforms. But again, doing that in a way that makes it me feel fulfilled, but also understanding that I'm getting people attracted to people that we all give a fuck about each other. You know what I mean? Like, not all money is good money. So it's like, I don't want to have 100,000 followers and have a bunch of people like trying to throw money at me. It's not what I want. I want to grow in a business in terms of having a community that people like listen to the podcast and talk about mental health and support each other and uplifting. And, obviously selfishly some clients in there, but, I just got to get better at marketing and branding myself. And I feel like that's why the podcast is so great for me, because it's an organic way for me to be the best version of myself and showcase what I do and how I operate. And I know organically with the podcast and marketing and brand is going to take care of itself. But that's a big focus as well. Like I've been posting on Instagram almost every day for like 5-6 years. Do you know what I mean? So it's about time I just take that to the next level and just fucking take it to the next level. Just like I said, getting uncomfortable is a theme, right? And then the last thing is just, financial future. We've been having a lot of meetings with just people about investments, about what's my life look like? I want a 41, 51, 61, 71 in retirement and those things. And the reason why I'm doing that is because one, it's super fucking uncomfortable. Two, it's uncomfortable because no one's fucking told me about any of this stuff growing up. Like most people that I lived with was on social assistance or like welfare and never really had a job or created a business to create their own financial freedom. So it's not only uncomfortable because it's finances and finances equal emotions, but it's also uncomfortable because I feel like I got to learn for a generational fucking trauma and reroute it. Do you know what I mean? And then the other thing too is it's money. Like I run my own business. I don't have CPP or old age security investments or like all these different things. I have to manually do that myself out of the money that I make. So if I just stop working and don't get paid, there's no EI for me. There's no CPP. There's none of that stuff unless I have it set up. So I got to get that stuff set up to make sure that my future is set up in a standard that I can have the house, have the car, have the kids, financial stuff for the kids and take care of myself, right? That's just a big focus this year as well, so I can finally turn that page and be a little bit of more of an adult, if that makes sense. But that's honestly all I got. I feel like it's been a while since I've given you guys a big update, and I think of a handful of my clients that I work with every single week and day that I talk to that listen to my podcast to give me feedback, which is why I share certain things the way that I do, because I know if it's impacting the people that I'm working with and impacting the people that are on my Instagram or social media that I don't work with directly, then I know if I just put more time and energy into talking about things that I know matter to a certain selected group of individuals, eventually the quality of that group will get bigger and more people will support, more people will speak up. But I know I always get a bunch of feedback from you guys when I just sit here and share my life and talk off my brain as to what I'm going through. No structure, no like trying to teach you guys anything tactical or anything. I just kind of share what I'm doing for the next year. And I love that style of podcasting and just giving you guys that information, because I think it's absolutely incredible that I can sit here and just talk about what I want to do with my life, talk about what I have done with my life, and just share those experiences and give that impact, because the fact that I'm sitting here and doing this is the absolute fucking dream come true. And that's why, you know, the theme of being uncomfortable is super important right now for me, with, you know, getting uncomfortable for the bodybuilding show, getting uncomfortable for the podcast, getting uncomfortable with the financial conversations, is because if you can stay uncomfortable, then you know you're going to continue to grow. And nothing in life comes easy. And anything that is hard or difficult usually gives you discomfort, but is always worth it in the end. You know, it's not easy to get an education. It's not easy to get a good, happy relationship. It's not easy to make a bunch of money. It's not easy to fucking play sports, to go to the gym. It takes hardship to get on. It takes long periods of uncomfortable times to grow into these versions of ourselves. So I want to continue to grow and be the best version of myself. This is what I got to do. And then on the other side, I get to give you guys that impact and share that stuff, that I'm dealing with this stuff just as much as anyone else is. You know, and I love that you guys put me on a pedestal sometimes, from the clients that I work with. I mean, more so, I'm just like, oh, how do you do it? How do you stay so consistent and all these different things? And it's like, because I reflect, I'm sitting here, I'm articulate and clear as to what I'm doing. So I know why I'm going through what I'm going through. And that alone is, like I said at the beginning, being consistent. It's the two variables there, consistency and clarity. You have those and you're undeniable. Your success is literally undeniable if you just show the fuck up and have a clarity as to where you're going. And eventually you'll understand what you need to do, what you know need to do, X, Y, and Z. But honestly, that's all I got. Yeah, a lot of new things coming up. Podcasting, I want to start doing the videos all the goddamn fucking time. And as the audio, you know, those will always be released as well. But I'm excited to just get into this next chapter of the life and just see what the fuck happens, what it comes out of. I have no expectations beside. I know I got to be uncomfortable and show the fuck up. So other than that, I hope you guys have a blessed motherfucking week. Keep showing up, lean from the front, and let's fucking go.